I recently revisited this book that my dad handed to me right before leaving for college 7 years ago. Yeah, pretty old. The book is called John C. Maxwell's Today Matters. And the reason why this book is really impactful is because I don't remember the last time my dad gifted me a book. Actually, I do. The last time he gave me a book was with my mom, and it was called The Guide to Life by Bart Simpson. So, yeah, you can get a good idea of where that book is leading. Don't get me wrong, the principles and the effects of that book, I still, use in my day to day. But contrasted with a book like John C. Maxwell's Today Matters, we do need some reality inducing affirmations and things like that. So this book really meant a lot to me because my dad handed it to me during a very transformative period in my life where I was entering this chapter where I wasn't directly guided by them and, into the unknown. I wasn't, told what I should do and shouldn't do. It was just a blank canvas for me. And I remember my parents and I remember past high school teachers reminiscing about how college is probably the most exciting time, and it is a very quick time. It's actually quicker than high school, and I do agree. I think college was really fast. For those of you that have been through college, it was pretty fast, and those that are entering college, it's going to be a fast time. I'm going to repeat the same words that my parents and my teachers said to me because it is true. So Today Matters, it was very meaningful for me, to the point where I actually kept this book in my bag, my backpack for my entire first year of college. So I would just keep it there. Like when I was just in lecture, I remember it just being in my backpack, ready for me to open up once again. And I remember rereading it like about 4 or 5 times in like 3 quarters of the entire school year. And to the point where I would carry bananas, just for a snack in my backpack. And I would find that the book smashed the banana. So there's banana bits on the side of this book right now. It's just very old though, very old banana bits, because this book is smashing. Yeah, you can stop listening right here if you want to. Back to the topic at hand. Today Matters. You're wondering, why exactly is this book moderately thick? Why is it a little girthy than it should be when the title already tells you that what the whole mission of the book is? Today Matters. And to re-clarify, the reason for it is because John C. Maxwell frames time, again, Today Matters, talking about time, he reframes time in a way that I don't think an ordinary author or ordinary person would view it. So the way he views it, it's very, very different from every other person. We always think about the somedays, the future. We always think about the future. And we always neglect the idea that we're living today and every day in autopilot. And that can be very detrimental because every day holds its own merit. And if we allow the days to kind of mesh together into one day, I don't know if people can resonate with that. Just looking back at your week and like, what happened on Tuesday? I totally forgot. Because we live on life in autopilot. There's so many things to do. Even in the present moment, we're thinking about what we're going to eat for lunch, what we're going to eat, what am I going to do for the weekend? There are so many things that are plaguing our mind and kind of diverting it away from today, the time, the present moment. And just as Master Oogway said in Kung Fu Panda, the present is a gift, right? That's why it's called the present. Just for my DreamWorks people out there. So this Today Matters by John C. Maxwell is really important to me. I revisited it. I actually found it in the other room, and it's full of dust, and there's a lot of bookmarkings on here because it really had that effect on me, and I really want to bring that effect to you. Hopefully you can find some sustenance or substance from it. And the first bookmark that I opened up to was actually something that really stuck out to me still till this day. It still feels like the first time I read it. And I want to read it to you right now because it is really important to know. So the title of this part or this section is called Time is Our Most Precious Commodity, which is something you probably heard in every other book that talks about reality and just living in the present moment. But it's not the title. It's actually the paragraph within this section that really took its perspective and really shook me up. Here we go. I'm going to read it to you. To know the value of 1 year, ask the student who failed the final exam. To know the value of 1 month, ask the mother of a premature baby. To know the value of 1 week, ask the editor of a weekly news magazine. To know the value of 1 day, ask the wage earner who has 6 children. To know the value of 1 hour, ask the lovers who are waiting to meet. To know the value of 1 minute, ask the person who missed the plane. To know the value of 1 second, ask the person who survived the accident. To know the value of 1 millisecond, Ask the Olympic silver medalist. Your time is priceless. As Ralph Waldo Emerson advised, guard well your spare moments. They are like uncut diamonds. Discard them, and their value will never be known. Improve them, and they will become the brightest gems in a useful life. So that really stuck out to me because we always solve math problems and such, and we're like, units of measurement like seconds, minutes, hours, things like that. But we don't really reflect on what those mean to us, like how valuable a second can be, like he said, from 1 second away from causing being in a car accident. You barely miss that car by a second, right? And those are the times that we do really reflect on how important time is, how valuable our life is. And it's really sad because we really need those wake-up calls sometimes, and to kind of reassess how we value our present moment. And we don't really need to have those really drastic and really big things happen for us to be jolted and say, oh my God, time is precious, life is precious, we only have one life to live. No, but what he's trying to say with this book, and the reason why it's so girthy and so thick, is because he really wants to nail the nail on the head, as they say. So John C. Maxwell's Today Matters really made me think about, once again in this period of my life, how the present moment really is a gift and how we need to really not take it for granted. In the last episode, I discussed how I want to talk about energy management, which is kind of contrasted to time management. And this Today Matters book, there's a section that's talking about how we need to assess our energy levels through the day. And that kind of put the needle in the haystack for me and for you to find, if that makes sense. But energy management, just a little brief description of it, is sort of like time management. But energy management is assessing your schedule, your routine, or like kind of your day, and kind of figuring out where your energy peaks, right? Where you're at your most high energy, and where your energy levels kind of valley, or as they cascade down. So making sure that you're assessing those things and you're kind of accumulating the activities around those times, right? Like you don't want to do a heavy project where you're very, very low on energy. You typically want to do the hard things when you have high energy, just so that you can use that energy and distribute it accordingly. So yeah, John C. Maxwell talks about energy levels, and he's talking about how we should make sure that we are placing activities in accordance to those energy levels. Similar to time management, where you're kind of blocking off times to do certain activities, make sure that you are kind of making sure to understand that there are energy levels that go with those said times, because there are times even in the mid-afternoon or an afternoon slump, as they call it, where you don't really want to do anything, and placing a very high difficulty project or task is not really going to be helpful when you have no energy at all, because you're going to be frustrated. So talking about energy management and talking about the present moment, how can we be more present? The first thing we can do is, again, assess our energy levels, making sure that we are partaking in activities that excite us during times in which we can be excited, rather than times that we're just low energy and we're like, I just need to close my eyes for a bit, please. So I wanted to talk about energy really quick, just an overview, some tips that I read in this book, as well as another book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, that you can probably implement in your life, maybe even tomorrow if you want to. But these are things that I saw that really helped boost my energy personally, and really helped me understand that every day does matter if I really am intentional about it, and, take each day for its own merit, like not allowing each day to feel the same. Each day has its own difference, and it has its own, uniqueness to it. So here are some things about boosting energy that you can do. John C. Maxwell didn't specifically name these, but I just thought that it could help you boost your energy throughout the day, just so that you don't, like, technically, as some people call it, waste a day, which is, you don't necessarily waste days, but you want to make sure that each day, again, stands on its own ground, and you want to remember each day as itself, right? You want to make sure that the days don't come together and feel the same. So the first thing that is a good tip that I heard from Darren Hardy is you should avoid your phone for the first 30 to 60 minutes of the day. And the reason for that is because your body and mind are kind of waking up. Although your mind doesn't go to sleep technically, after dreaming and thinking so hard, your body needs to make sure that you're waking up gradually. You're not waking up very, drastically and abruptly. So making sure you're avoiding your phone for the first 30 to 60 minutes. Again, even avoiding social media, because that can cause you to have stress. Maybe you're like, oh my God, all those questions like, why am I not like this person? Or why am I not, further down the road than I should be? Things like that. That's not something that you should be greeted with when you wake up, especially emails and things like that, because those inspire stress in your little moments and pockets in your schedule. And you don't want to be thrusting yourself in that kind of situation or environment when you wake up. So it's really beneficial if you avoid your phone or have that, silence to yourself, that quietness for the first 30 to 60 minutes of the day. So go ahead, brush your teeth, whatever you need to do in the morning, please brush your teeth, clean up, shower, whatever you need to do for the first 30 to 60 minutes without looking at a screen, because that blue light is going to raise your cortisol levels, or technically, your stress levels right from the get-go. And that's not what you want, because your energy levels at the beginning of the day are extremely important, because those energy levels are what you distribute throughout the day as you progress until the nighttime. And this is also important when you go to bed as well. When you go to 30 to 60 minutes prior to you going to sleep, try to avoid the phone, the blue light screen, because your mind's going to be wondering, like, why am I still awake? Why am I looking at blue light? It's going to wake me up, and you want to avoid that. So it's really important to avoid your phone for the first 30 to 60 minutes of the day. So in order for you to wake up gradually and not be frustrated from the get-go, because you don't want to start your day like that, right? Right? Okay. So the second one is, and this one's a really controversial one, but don't reach for the coffee immediately in the morning. And this one is because of the cortisol levels that we were referring to. There are certain times in the morning, there are specific hours, and you can look it up. I didn't memorize it, but there are specific hours within your morning, whether it be like 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., where your cortisol levels are extremely high. And it's those points where you want to avoid drinking coffee, because coffee can actually raise your cortisol levels, and it can build up your cortisol resistance, meaning that, it's going to take more coffee for you to feel less stressed, and it's going to take more coffee for you to feel less anxious. And we don't want your coffee consumption to go higher than it should be. We want you to stay at a moderately nice level. So don't go for the coffee immediately. Usually you should wait, again, 30 to 60 minutes before you drink coffee. A good coupling of these habits, which is something that James Clear talked about in his book, Atomic Habits, habit coupling. You can avoid your phone for the first 30 to 60 minutes of the day. And if you did that, then you can reward yourself with a cup of coffee while you are scrolling through whatever. So making sure you're understanding the 30, 60 minutes, the first 30, 60 minutes of the day is really important for your overall energy levels, because it dictates how you're going to feel for the rest of the day. So the third one is to reserve time to think, right? So no technology, just you and your brain, just to think about things. And this is not just in the morning. This can be a midday thing. A lot of people really love the Pomodoro technique, which is kind of like working in 25-minute intervals with 5-minute breaks, or 30-minute intervals with 5-minute breaks, or 10-minute breaks. But totally up to you. No matter what, you do know that you need to have a break in the middle of the day. There's no way that you can work from 9 to 5 relentlessly without actually taking a break, whether it be strolling around the block or even just getting up to get a glass of water. Things like that is really important. But just as important is that you shouldn't be reaching out for your phone, looking through social media, hoping that it's going to kind of fix your attitude in any sort of way. It's actually going to be the complete opposite. What you should do is reserve some time to think. And what I mean by this is that quietness that you had for the first 30 to 60 minutes of the day, where you're just alone with you and your thoughts, not looking at a phone or drinking coffee in any sort of way. Making sure that you have that time again within the day, and it's kind of within, it's installed within the middle of the day or at the end of the day, that you're alone with your thoughts, that you're thinking and allowing your mind to think, because there are so many things in this world, so many things in our phone, social media, or even just the news are going to cloud your intuition, and it's just not going to be helpful. By the time that you're going to get home, you're going to be drained, you're going to be, so restless, and you're like, oh man, I need to just sleep and for the rest of my life. So making sure that you have time that's technology free, preferably, where you're just kind of alone with your thoughts and allowing your mind to decompress naturally, rather than hoping that social media or your phone is going to decompress it. It's actually way more helpful if you decompress it by just meditating. You don't have to close your eyes or anything. You can just look out the window and you can just sigh if you want. Sighing is a really, like that. That's really fun, right? So making sure that you have those times where you can have a quiet time to yourself, and making sure that you have an environment that's preferably technology free. Now the fourth one is like kind of the last one that I wanted to give you is to make time to either read or write. I know a lot of people, and even myself included, am a victim in this podcast that says you need to read all the time, you need to write your thoughts, all those things. And again, there are some days that I don't do either, and that's fine. You don't have to do either of them, but it is helpful to this whole point of this point is to decompress your mind again, to make sure that you have all those thoughts that are not just going to be festering and crawling in your mind for the rest of the day. So writing things down is really helpful, just so that you can put thoughts to paper, and it can help kind of dump all those thoughts that are accumulating in your brain onto paper, so your brain doesn't have to hold the load for so long. Or you can either read, right? Reading is a great escape from the world, and you can read nonfiction, you can read fiction. Either way, your mind is still running, but it's also decompressing away from the stressful times of the world or reality, because we do need those pockets of rest, those quiet pockets of just silence, and we just need to be alone with our thoughts, because sometimes that is the greatest escape, is within yourself. So that's one thing that it's really helpful, I guess. There's one added bonus thing that I want to include in here, and it's something that I recently found. It's an app called Rescue Time. So Rescue Time is something that you can download as a Chrome extension on your laptop, or it can even be an app on your phone, I believe. But Rescue Time basically measures your usage, so you can understand and assess when are the times that you pick up your phone the most. And those can be the times where you're probably the most stressed or your energy drained. We don't know. It's totally up to you to decide and assess how you're feeling in that current moment. But Rescue Time, the app Rescue Time, just to clarify what I'm saying, really helps monitor your app usage or even your phone usage. For iOS users or iPhone users, we have App Time. So that really, or sorry, not App Time, it's Screen Time. So you can actually determine if you're using your phone for too long or things like that. It gives you an actual time of how long you're using your phone and how many pickups, like how often you're picking up your phone. But for Android users, there's something called Rescue Time, which is a very similar experience that kind of gives you an idea of how long you're on a website or how long you're using an app, all those things that, you don't have with Screen Time. So Rescue Time is a really helpful app, again, because it gives you the entire day's 24-hour cycle, and it tells you which moments and which hours that you're using your phone the most. And maybe you can help yourself by gradually decreasing your usage if you feel like you're using it too much. I remember the other week I was averaging about maybe 5 to 6 hours on my phone, which is 5 to 6 hours. Wow, that's a lot. That's 5 to 6 hours daily, mind you, daily average. That's wild. So if you're trying to reduce your consumption, it's always good to find some sort of application or some sort of device that can help you visualize where you are not going wrong, but where are you picking up the most and where you think that you need improvement in. So there's nothing wrong with picking up your phone, but we're just trying to minimize as much as we can phone usage and device usage and trying to maximize your mental decompression. So with this being said, the first step to understanding that today does matter is allowing your mind to run, allowing your mind to decompress in natural ways, not through social media or any sort of means like that, but actually away from technology, allowing your mind to run, for your mind to be creative, your mind to write things down, your mind to run with stories that you're reading or whatever books that you're reading in the current moment. And with that first step, once you understand that and you're maximizing that time that you're alone with your thoughts and kind of understanding that sometimes this solace, this solitude that you have with yourself and your beautiful mind, you beautiful you, is actually going to help you set the intentions for the day and understand that today does matter, that, each moment is passing by and each moment is a moment to be appreciated for what it's worth. So John C. Maxwell's Today Matters is an extremely important book. I highly recommend checking it out. This actually made a bigger impact on me than Atomic Habits did, to be quite honest with you. But I hope that these little tips and the little passage from Today Matters really helped. If it really did, I hope that you continue listening to this. I don't know who listens to this, but I really enjoy this. I really hope that you did too. It's really a great time to be here. And it's a great time. And thank you for taking the time. I said time so many times. Ew. Time so many times. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I really highly appreciate it. And I love you guys. You guys matter. Today matters. But on top of that, you also matter. So really take the intention of each day and really make it your own, because that at the end of the day is what's going to make you have as much energy as you can for each day, because each day will be exciting for its own merit. Each day will stand on its own, and every day will not mesh together. So, thank you for listening, guys. I will catch you on the next one. Goodbye.
Baby, 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 why you always smoke a J, relax and watch some anime, come through the pad I'm trying to play. The Super Smash Bros, what you know? Wait to let me pick little cardio, you don't even know what I'm saying. Up B, and down B, now be playing, praying. Anything with you, baby girl, it's a date.